All right, in this video we're going to talk about this 21-inch ride that I just completed and why it might be the best sounding 21 I've ever made. So at any given time, I'm juggling a handful of custom commissions that people purchase through my website. They can place an order and get anything from one of my standard offerings from one of my series, or they can place an order for a fully customized cymbal where they give me either vague concepts for the sound they want, or they give me a reference from a particular record. And this cymbal came with that designation. They wanted a very particular sound, and they were looking at the great Tony Williams, specifically a cymbal that he was playing on the Miles Davis record, My Funny Valentine Live in Concert. Now, there's a particular track where at a certain section of the album, Tony's really just playing on that one cymbal specifically, and the rest of the band is either subdued or kind of laying out, so the ride is really being highlighted. And so all I had to go off of was that track. The customer also included that they also like the sound of Brian Blade's ride cymbal on another particular record. So they were kind of saying, like, really aim at the Tony sound, but if you get a little bit of the Brian sound, that's great too. Now, really specifically on this, they were honing in on the fact that when they typically play thinner cymbals that are meant to emulate sounds from way back in the day, they find that either the sounds are too dry, they don't have enough air and enough complexity that opens up, or they're just way too thin. That air and complexity and dragon's breath is there, but it totally overwhelms the stick. So all in all, it was a pretty challenging request because it's all about finding this middle ground between clarity and a cymbal that will really hold together and not run away on you, but it still activates and it still has this warm, complex, gritty, dark, trashy wash that's underneath of that stick, which I find that character really makes a cymbal super interesting to play. So I was excited to jump into the project, and this is what we landed with. It's a 21-inch, and it weighs 2,258 grams. It is, I'm calling it a Tributary redux. It's basically a Tributary series rye without the patina. And it's got a medium tall profile. It's got quite a bit of curvature. And there is a very significant trajectory change from about here out to the edge. It really hooks. And then it's pretty flat and it's still heading upwards, but it's fairly flat, and the profile is pretty low from the edge of the bell to about here. So it's really designed to have that kind of gritty, slightly aggressive sound, that dragon's breath in the wash. And sometimes with this exact type of curvature and this exact type of construction, you just land with a cymbal that's really, really hummy and a little bit too wild. And it's hard to make this section up here near the top be tight enough to not hum at you. I think I was able to achieve a very balanced sound with this, and I think most of that has to do with the way I did the bell, which is completely hand formed. So this piece started out as a totally flat sheet of bronze, no hole in the center, no center point, kind of an oblong potato chip looking thing. And the bell was completely hand formed. So it's many hundreds of strikes to build that bell up into the appropriate shape. The bell shape itself, it's very hard to tell, but it also kind of emulates the shape of the rest of the cymbal. It has a hook right about here, and then it flattens off up to the center hole, which I find that's another way of kind of just controlling the sound a little bit. Hooks in general are great for controlling the spread, controlling the sound, but they present challenges if the cymbalsmith doesn't know how to properly tune and tension the rest of the metal. Now, as far as the surface of it, it's got a medium amount of topography, and it's got a very deep lathing pass at the very end that's fast, meaning that the lathe grooves are separated, they're wider, and they are deep. So that's the very last thing I did is go in. It's kind of hard to tell again, but go in and do a couple passes where I'm cutting deep and fast. This is another way of kind of breaking things up a little bit, adding a little bit more grit to the sound and containing some wild tones that would jump out at you otherwise. Let's play this thing, and then I'll put it behind the kit and play it in context. You guys can let me know what you think. So it's got this awesome grit, this kind of roar to it, but that roar is pretty capped and it's not really overtaking the stick definition. And when I play it behind the kit in just a second, you'll hear how I can really dig in without that cymbal running away from me. There's no such thing as cloning a cymbal. There's no such thing as perfectly replicating a cymbal, which is why I call it a redux, which is essentially an inspiration of something else. It's me taking that sound and kind of filtering it through my experience as a cymbalsmith and as a drummer. I also like to think about things like the recording technique of the day. I like to think about how, Tony Williams had a very particular style and a way that he played to draw out a certain sound. And so that has to be translated and that has to be kind of interpreted for a modern context. I find that a lot of jazz drummers these days, they do not want a cymbal that kind of runs away from you and is way too wild. And in gig contexts in particular, these kind of sounds are tricky because they can really step on toes of the other members in the band. And so you really want to balance how much complexity and trashiness and openness you have with your cymbals so that it's functional. But a cymbal like this is incredibly fun to play. And if you're interested in learning more about what I do, you can head over to reveriedrums.com. You can order a commission. You can see the available cymbals that I have in my shop. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching. Please drop a comment below, like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want notifications. And keep an eye out for the next video. My name is Timothy Roberts. See you guys later.